So this is the Sunday closest to Candlemas. That's Feast of the Church on February the 2nd that we don't really pay that much attention to. It's a traditional Anglican feast. One of the last, in fact, I believe it is the last of the Feasts of Light, which surround the solstice and lead up towards Lent. Ash Wednesday is just 10 days away. The fact that some of these feasts are not actually on the solstice has to do with a lovely phrase called calendar slippage, which I always liked. They start out being at the solstice, and then they kind of moved as the unstable pre-modern calendar brings them. Hanukkah was a solstice feast, Christmas, Epiphany, all of them. And then there's Candlemas, February 2nd, a feast which has been overshadowed in the U.S. by that damn Animal Day. Even Wikipedia says Candlemas has lost place to Groundhog Day. Now, how embarrassing is that, right? If you're a religious feast, you lose out to a small rodent. Sad. Anyway, in historical times, Candlemas was when people used to bring their candles to church to have them blessed for use in the coming year. But since it doesn't involve presents or decorations or wise men or stars or small animals, it's somewhat overshadowed as a feast. We don't remember to bless our candles anymore. I'm not that crazy about even having candles burning at home, to tell you the truth. Too easy to walk away and forget them. And so this last shining holiday of the Christmas season, this last showing forth of light, has dimmed a bit. Just to let you know, I'm glad to see the creche out here. In some cultures, this is the day when it's finally okay to put away the creche and the rest of the holiday decorations. If you've been waiting, and since I am a relative lazy bones, my decorations tend to go up on the 23rd, and they're still there. True confession, I always wait until Candlemas. Candlemas is also the feast of the presentation of Jesus in the temple, which occasion provided the Bible story behind an old ceremony in earlier Anglican prayer books, taken from a common early medieval rite called the churching of women. That's talked about in 4th century church texts, so it's pretty early. Maybe it came from ancient Jewish rites, maybe there was some pre-Muslim Arabic ceremonies as well about this. Let's just say the idea is old. It's the point when we bring the baby and the mom back into the protection of the church. Cranmer, who wrote the first prayer book, called it an order for the purification of women. It was 40 days after childbirth, about 6 weeks. So enough of that kind of crazy childbirth woman stuff had worn off, that women were safe to bring back in to be purified and blessed. And after they were churched in this way, they could enter back into society. Our modern spin on it is that we had this because we were happy for the deliverance of child and mother from the dangers of birth, which were real in those times, and still are in many places. But now that dads are often in the delivery room, and we see births on, Facebook and Instagram, those birth mysteries may not seem as disturbing as they do glorious. And so that ceremony has kind of fallen out of favor too. In the current prayer book, it's called A Thanksgiving for the Birth or Adoption of a Child, kind of a pre-baptism general welcome. But it's as well to know where it came from. Not to be critical of the church more than society at large, but we've had our own problem with the place of women, which can seem kind of historical in the Episcopal Church for sure, what with women clergy and bishops, even the presiding bishop. I, for one, went to seminary before women could be ordained to the priesthood. Not long, but just before. And I remember being distinctly surprised when John Hall said something about ordination to me when I was church secretary here a long time ago. What? Women can do that? It seems like ancient history to us now, but we just have to look at the place of women in other religions, other countries, to see that that's not real history. I was thinking, I was approaching today's gospel with that kind of a head, which I think was probably mistaken. You know, but today's gospel, there's a sick woman who's Simon's mother-in-law, and Jesus lifted her up. It's a lovely phrase, really. He made her whole. Things then immediately get back to normal, meaning she gets up to serve the guys. So it was a little startling when I looked at it first this week. But really, I think it's just a measure of how cured she was. She was so cured that she could do what she wished to do. And you know, there's nothing wrong with that, really. She wished to serve. I mean, God does the big things, right? God covers the earth with clouds and prepares rain to fall, today's psalm says. And this woman chooses, when she is restored to her rightfulness, she chooses to serve others. God stretches out the heavens like a curtain, spreads them like a tent to live in, Isaiah says today. And we bless candles to light the darkness. God is the creator of the ends of the world, and God's warriors shall mount up with wings like eagles. Sorry, Jan. Football reference there. And we welcome mothers and infants from the vicissitudes of childbirth. We've got what is sometimes called a homely religion, in the sense of, you know, has its flaws, but feels right-sized for us. It's a home we can find good comfort and good purpose in. Our God counts all the stars, but we humans count out the number of candles we might need for the coming year. And even our feast day for the candle's blessing gets beaten out by the groundhog. But we do, the message still is, we do what we can. If we can't count how many stars there are in the sky and pull them up over our knees like a blanket, if we can't summon the star of the nativity to shine over each infant's birth, still we do what we can. And if that is welcoming in the new mother and child to our fellowship, that's fine. They are welcome here. We do what we can. And if that's serving a meal to hungry students in the break, that's fine. Do that well. We do what we can to make light in this problematic world that we live in. And we keep in mind the higher purpose in all these little things that we do. We count out the candles that we need, and those candles, those efforts, and we are all blessed here. Amen.